Hello, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Appreciating Drama. Today, we have a new version of drama which is called Epic Theatre. So, let us go straight into the episode of Epic Theatre. Actually, this movement was closely related to a German playwright. So, we have just one individual who is the main player in Epic Theatre, and his name is Bertolt Brecht. He is a German playwright. Epic Theatre was created by Bertolt Brecht in the mid 20th century. Brecht wanted to do something different from the everyday realistic play and thought about what it would be like to constantly remind someone that what they are watching is not real. So, just like Expressionism, which was also a kind of reaction against the romantic play, and also realism. We have got a similar reaction here against realism. So, here he wanted to tell the audience that what they are watching is not actually real, it is just a kind of imagination and it is nothing to do with reality. In order to do this, they would have stage lamps in places where they could be seen. So, they are adopting certain methods to remind the audience that this play or drama is not actually real. So, they would place lamps on the stages where they could be seen by the audience. That is one technique. You might also put white harsh lights on stage, not depending on what the mood of the scene is. So, irrespective of the mood, they would be placing very harsh white lights on the stage. That is again telling them that this is not real. You might also use sharp colors and different designs. So, the whole stage setting was with that purpose of reminding the audience that is not real. For instance, instead of making a sky blue, you might make it multiple colors in a design that doesn't look real. So, their efforts was always trying to make things unreal. So, if they want to make the sky, they wouldn't make it blue, but rather they would make it multicolored. Epic Theatre plays and playwrights. We are going to see some of the important playwrights and their plays. Some of the most important plays from this time period are Leben de Galilei, The Life of Galileo. That's a French drama. Then we have got a few Germans coming up. Mutter Courage und ihre Kinder. The meaning in English it is Mother Courage and her children. And we have Der gut Mensch von Szechuan. The meaning is the good person of Szechuan or the good woman of Szechuan. Now we are going to see the people behind Epic Theatre, or mainly there is only one, just one person. Along with Konstantin Stanislavski, Bertolt Brecht was one of the two most influential figures of 20th century theatre and the most significant practitioner since World War II. So, along with Stanislavski, we have Bertolt Brecht, who was one of the most influential figures of that century, especially after the World War II. Brecht's theories for the stage, including his well-known epic theatre form, made him a force to be reckoned with. So, he became a prominent figure in this form of drama or theatre, that is epic theatre. There is no one else who could actually overtake him. Although it is well documented, Brecht had a team of workers around him to ease the Lord. His creative output was nothing short of prolific. So he was not working alone; he had a lot of people around him. A team was there with him, but still, he had written so many plays and other works. He was a theorist, poet, playwright, essayist, and above all a practitioner who painstakingly applied his theories to the works of one of the great theatre companies of the world, the Berliner Ensemble. So actually he was working for this theatre in Germany, it is Berliner Ensemble. And he was really a prolific writer. He had a lot of poems and dramas and essays to his credit, and he was very painstakingly he applied his theories to the work. That means with a lot of effort he took in order to apply his theories to the theatre. Unlike Grotowski, Brecht preferred to demonstrate his concepts for epic theatre in performances instead of acting exercises. So he wanted to show the ideas of epic theatre through his performance, not just acting exercise. Unlike Artaud, Brecht's ideas were concrete and translatable for actors for generations to come. So his ideas are very much relevant even today. Many people follow his theories and ideas. It could be practiced. That is the most important thing. Actually, Antonin Artaud is a French writer, playwright, actor, director, and poet. While Grotowski is a Polish theatre director. These are the two persons mentioned here. A staunch Marxist, Brecht's plays often had a political and social message for those viewing them. So he was a very strong Marxist, and so he used his plays to convey the message of Marxism or socialism. Accordingly, his works included songs that drummed home the message of the play, storytellers, narrators, projection, placards, and actors directly addressing the audience. So these are some of the techniques used by Brecht. There is he used to have songs in between. To drummed home means to convey the message. So there are storytellers, narrators who are telling the story, and there was also projection, placards. All these he used to convey the message, and there are also actors who are trying to communicate or interact with the audience directly. So there is a new trend in drama. That means even the audience became part of the show. Brecht loathed the theatre of realism, so he hated that. This way is a kind of reaction. Epic theatre is a reaction against realism. He likened the realistic theatre to the effects of a drug. Likened means he compared. So he told that realistic theatre is like taking a drug. So after taking the drug, you become okay, cool. Just like when you are mad, you take a drug and then you become normal, something like that. That means he hated realism. Brecht's plays were didactic and aimed to teach or instruct their audience. So didactic means trying to teach. So through his plays, he was trying to give a social message to the audience. Brecht used the term Lehrstück meaning learning play. So, just like play away method of teaching, we have got learning play here. Social activist theatre wanting the spectators to make change in their own world outside the theatre walls. So it was a kind of social activism. That means he was trying to reform the society through his plays. So the aim of his plays was mainly social reform or social change. In 1926, Brecht embraced Marxism, and his theatre techniques after this point served his Marxist beliefs. So, after he became a Marxist, he was trying to propagate Marxistian theories through his plays. Brecht's umbrella title for a range of non-realistic techniques is Verfremdungseffekt or V effect. That is in German. In English, it is called A effect, and it is short form for alienation effect. We will see what it is in the next slide. What is alienation effect? Actually, it was translated wrongly for so many decades, misleadingly translated over the decades as distancing effect. So, distancing means actually trying to keep the audience away. Actually, that is not the meaning. Recent and more accepted translation is to make the familiar strange or estrangement. So, that is the real meaning of A effect. Estrangement means making the familiar thing strange. So, that is the idea behind A effect or V effect. Epic borrowed from the great poems of literature. That means the epic theatre, they try to borrow from other epics that was prevailing, like the Iliad, the Greek epic, then the Odyssey also Greek, and Mahabharata and Ramayana, of course, Indian epics. Brecht was influenced by Expressionism and had an interest in the cabaret scene in Berlin. So he was also influenced by Expressionism. We will see the influence later, some of the techniques used by the play, which is very similar to Expressionism. In this case, we also should like to remember that just like Expressionism, this epic theatre was also a kind of reaction against realism. So they both had a lot of things in common. We are going to see the form. Brecht wrote over 50 plays. So nearly 50 plays he wrote. Brecht's form of theatre was known as epic theatre, most likely coined by German collaborator Erwin Piscator. So actually the term epic theatre must have been coined by his friend and collaborator Erwin Piscator. He is the one who could have used that term. Some scholars argue the term epic theatre was already in use in European experimental theatre by the time Brecht started using the term. So there are also counter points about the use of this term, that some scholars say that this term was already used in other part of Europe, especially in experimental theatre by other European people. Epic plays employed a large narrative as opposed to a smaller plot. So it is not smaller plot, they had a long narrative spanning many locations and time frames. So this story or the plot would take place over a long period of time and in many locations. Brecht called scenes episodes, with each scene being relatively self-contained. And we have already seen episodes in Expressionism. So this is one of the influence of expressionism here, I think. Epic plays used non-linear fractured plots, where the events of a single episode were not necessarily a result of the preceding one. So, just like in expressionism, where they had episodes of various scenes which were not actually closely related, they were all compartmentalized parts. That's the meaning of non-linear. Non-linear means actually not in a straight line, not in a sequential order. That means one scene doesn't follow the other. That's the meaning of non-linear. Fractured. Fractured means broken pieces, broken plots. So each plot is standing apart. They are not actually closely related. So the event happening in a particular plot need not be the result of the previous one. This juxtaposition of episodes employing multiple locations and time frames created a montage effect. So juxtaposition means keeping close together. That means different episodes. Actually, a montage is a kind of editing technique where they take very short scenes and then by editing it look as a kind of continuous flow. So this plays will have a kind of effect. They have very short scenes, but when they are kept together, there is a kind of continuity. He used his acting troupe at the Berliner Ensemble to perfect his theories on acting and the theatre. So he was working in that particular theatre in Germany, Berliner Ensemble, and he used this theatre in order to experiment or practice his theories of epic theatre. Some of his plays were historical, chronicling the life of a person, just like Shakespeare had historical plays. So he also tried to or attempted this historical plays. We have some examples here like Life of Galileo, Saint Joan of the Stockyards. So these are all actually histories or historical plays. Focus was always on the society being presented in the play, not individual characters. So just like in expressionism, you find a character is representing a class or group. So same thing is here. The society is being represented, not individual characters. So you find a lot of similarities between expressionism and epic theatre. Events in plays were sometimes told from the viewpoint of a single storyteller. So it's as if one person is narrating the story. Brecht wrote his plays with no act or scene divisions. These were later added. So when he was writing the plot, he wouldn't divide it into scenes or acts. Those would be done much later. Long episodes told the main events of the story and were interspersed with occasional shorter or short episodes. So here you have intermingling of long episodes as well as short episodes. So long episodes would tell the main events, whereas the short ones would be interspersed or mixed with the long ones. Short or shorter episodes normally involved parables used to emotionally detach the audience. So parables means a kind of story to make the message clearer. So another aim of this parables was to emotionally detach the audience. That means the audience should not feel attached. That is the meaning of estrangement. We saw that the V effect or A effect. So the audience should not feel that it is real. It is only just a story. Parable episodes often involve the use of song, a device employed by Brecht to help deliver the message of the play. So, another typical character was characteristic was that he used songs in order to deliver the message, especially about socialism or Marxism. Another term is historification. What is historification? Let us see what is historification. It was a term Brecht used to define the technique of deliberately setting the action of a play in the past in order to draw parallels with contemporary events. So, his techniques were mostly aimed at making the audience detach themselves. That means they should not feel they are part of the play or part of the story. So, he employed this technique called historification. That means he may be dealing with the current issues, but he would place the whole thing in the past. So, though it is contemporary event, as if it is happening in a different time in the past. So, historification allowed spectators to view the events of the play with emotional detachment and garner a thinking response. So, here his aim was to keep the audience away, not to get involved emotionally. That means they should be able to think logically. That is possible only when their emotions are free. So, that could be one of the reasons he employed this technique called historification. Brecht crushed Aristotle's model of the three unities of time, place, and action, where the action takes place over the course of a single day at one location. So, this concept of Aristotle was actually destroyed by Brecht, because his stories are taking place over a long period of time and at different locations. So, it is not possible to keep these unities of time, place, and all that. Mix of realistic and non-realistic movement. So, the movement on stage was realistic and also non-realistic. That means the action. Movement was at times graceful, but other times forceful. So, he mixed both graceful as well as forceful movement on stage. Brecht used the Latin word gestus to describe both individual gestures and whole body postures. So, gestus was a technique used by Brecht in order to express the attitude of the character. For example, when you are acting as a kind of beggar, then your gestures should be, related to that beggar. Body posture and your gestures all should be that of a beggar. That is the meaning of gestus here. Character gestus denoted one's social attitude and human relationships with others. That is linked to Marxist principles. So, he gave a lot of importance to gestus. That means the gestures as well as the body posture has a lot of meaning here. So, definitely he is reacting against the bourgeois society. So, here the characters' body posture and gestures become very, very important. So, depending on your social attitude or social status, your gestures will change. Some Oriental gestures were used by Brecht because he had some influence of Balinese dance showing. That means Bali, close to Indonesia, I think. So, he was also influenced by the Asian culture, dance, this epics and all that. Groups of characters often positioned on the stage for functional and not aesthetic reasons. So you can find groups also appearing on the stage. It is not for the beauty of it, but for certain functions. That means the group had a function or a role to play. Characters grouped according to their social relationships in the play. So just like we have different social classes, the working class, the landlords and all that. So characters were divided or grouped like that according to their social status or social relationship in the play. Now, space and actor-audience relationship. Brecht's plays were performed in traditional proscenium arch theatre houses. So, proscenium is a kind of arch which is built in front of the curtain, front curtain. However, the stage curtain was often dispensed with, or a half curtain used instead of a full one. So, he was not in favor of using the curtain. Most probably he would prefer to not have it, or if at all he had, he used to have a half curtain, not the full. Brecht preferred to call the audience spectators. So he wanted to call the audience spectators. Direct address by actors or characters to audience was a strong and unconventional technique used by performers. So it's a new trend here. You find the characters are interacting with the audience or the spectators. Direct address broke the fourth wall and crushed traditional realistic naturalistic conventions. So actually a stage will have only three walls, back and two sides, so three. The fourth wall is actually kind of the proscenium structure. That means he is trying to break even that fourth wall, that is trying to reach the audience directly. Narration was common in Brechtian dramas. That means a person would narrate the story. That is also a new style. Here we have got some glimpses of epic theatre. This is from Mother Courage and Her Children. Okay, with that we have come to the end of epic theatre. So till we meet with another form of theatre, it is goodbye. Thank you.